Beyonce thing came when a friend of mine who knew her, somebody in her camp,
Okay.
and she said something supposedly, this is all hearsay,
Okay.
about regarding saying Ramir needs to go away, little boy, something to that effect. It was something out there.
Yeah,
But
that's why I
people were
said we.
saying that she's a big part of the problem for him, and some of the things that she was doing, a woman would not, she would have some sort of role in what
Right.
her husband does. And
Right.
if she was secure with herself and with the situation, not saying you gotta like it,
Right.
she would help her husband handle it.
Y'all, it looks like there is some strange things afoot at the Carter household because Queen Beyonce is spiraling right now after DNA receipts allegedly confirmed what the streets have been whispering for years. Jay-Z's secret firstborn son is real, and the web of lies is finally unraveling. And what a tangled web we weave when we conspire to deceive. Y'all, this isn't just about some internet conspiracy or messy side chick rumor. This is a long court drama, paternity test, and a grown man claiming Jay-Z's been avoiding him for decades. And y'all, now the truth is knocking at the door, and Beyonce's picture-perfect empire is crumbling, and crumbling fast. The word on the curb is that Queen Bey has been panicking behind the scenes, avoiding questions and trying to shut this down quietly. But it's a little bit too late. The DNA test is out, and the internet is in shambles. Jay-Z's biggest skeleton just walked right through the front door. So the real question is, did Jay-Z really lie about having a secret son all these years, or is this his actual first son? And how long has Beyonce known about this mess? Well, buckle up, y'all, because the situation is absolutely scandalous. Alright, y'all, so it's looking like Ramir Satterwhite has just caught a major win in this long, messy battle that he's been fighting with Jay-Z for years. Because word in the streets is that this court has finally ordered Jay to cough up a DNA sample and put this whole situation to rest. Now, if you've been keeping up, you already know this isn't just some new drama. Ramir's been claiming for years and over a decade that Jay-Z is his father. And for just as long, Jay-Z's been avoiding every legal move thrown his way to avoid taking that test. But now it looks like the stall tactic has finally run out, and the courts are forcing him to submit the DNA. And after all these years of questions and speculation, we're finally gonna find out the truth. But here's where it gets crazy, because the real reason that Jay-Z's been dragging this out allegedly has nothing to do with him and everything to do with B. See, people have been asking for years why Jay-Z doesn't just take the test if he was so confident that the child is not his. Could have been over in 10 seconds, but according to insiders, Beyonce is the one who's been shutting this down behind closed doors, because the last thing she wanted was for the world to know and find out that Jay-Z fathered another child outside their 3 kids. But especially after all those cheating scandals, the elevator situation, Lemonade, her daddy's several babies on the side, it's been one thing after another. The image Beyonce has built in her entire brand, and having a secret firstborn son pop out would blow the whole thing up. Now, with the court stepping in and forcing Jay to finally comply, Beyonce's worst fear might be coming true. And if those DNA results hit the blogs, the entire Carter empire could be facing its biggest scandal yet. And y'all already know that Ramir is celebrating this win, because no matter how the DNA results play out, this man is finally about to get the closure he's been fighting for like his entire life. Say what you want to say about Ramir, but this case has been haunting him for over a decade. And at this point, it's not even just about Jay-Z anymore. It's about just decency and respect. Now, y'all know that the internet has been dragging Ramir for years, saying he's only after Jay-Z's money, trying to get his 15 minutes of fame and clout chasing off the Carter name. But if you've actually been listening to Ramir, he's made it clear over and over again that this is not about no money. He even said it himself in an interview where he said, "Everybody's looking at me saying I'm chasing Jay-Z. I want money. I'm doing this for fame. This was never about money for me. My whole thing was just to see who my father was." But to shut the money rumors down even further, he explained that he's been handling business on his own for years. He works 2 jobs, he's taking care of himself, and all he ever wanted was to know the truth and to be treated fairly by the legal system. He said, "I got my own money, I work 2 jobs. I take care of my own business. I just needed closure and I wanted respect from the courts. Just like everybody else goes in there and gets respect and gets fair due process. Why didn't I get that? Why did I just get brushed to the side?" And honestly, that's a big question, and everybody's been asking the same. Because now with the courts finally forcing Jay to hand over that DNA, it looks like Ramir might finally get the answers he's been waiting for. Jay got 99 problems and the DNA test is one. So yeah, And now with the lawsuit finally seeming to be on Ramir's side, there's no doubt that he's having the best day that he's had in years. But y'all already know who's probably not smiling right now, and that's Beyonce, because word in the streets is that she's been the one allegedly pressuring Jay-Z behind the scenes not to acknowledge Ramir because he was supposedly fathered outside their relationship. But here's the part that's not adding up. If Ramir's timeline is real, Jay-Z allegedly had him way before Beyonce was even in the picture. So technically, she shouldn't even feel threatened to her marriage, right? But at the same time, let's not act brand new. A huge part of Beyonce's whole brand is being a ride or die wife of Jay-Z, the power couple image and the billions they built together. And even though Ramir has been saying for years that he doesn't want Jay-Z's money, doesn't want fame, doesn't even care about being a part of their world, the reality is that there are billions of dollars on the table. And Beyonce is not about to sit back and risk all that crumbling over some secret child suddenly getting confirmed. But hold up, wait a minute, because the drama gets messy. Word in the streets is that another reason Beyonce allegedly has been pushing Jay-Z to not take that DNA test is because of how young Ramir's mom was when all this allegedly went down. Because according to the rumors, she was underage at the time Jay-Z allegedly got her pregnant. So let's be realistic for a millisecond. With everything happening right now, this could get real ugly, real fast. Y'all saw what Diddy just went through, and Jay-Z even faced his own lawsuits for allegedly essaying a minor. So imagine what would happen if that DNA test comes back confirming that Jay-Z really did father a child with a girl who wasn't even legal yet. But here's where it gets really wild, because according to Ramir's guardian, Jay-Z's camp was actually open to the idea of Jay building some kind of relationship with Ramir. That is until Beyonce found out about the underage situation. And the minute she heard about them details, she allegedly shut that down with the quickness. The Guardian explained that Wanda, Ramir's mom, was only 16 years old when she allegedly met Jay-Z. But to be fair, there's talk that Wanda may have told him she was older at the time. But either way, they hooked up, protection failed, and Wanda ended up pregnant. But here's the thing, Wanda apparently had no idea how to reach out to Jay-Z after that. She didn't have his real contact information, and he was already building his career, so tracking him down wasn't exactly easy. But regardless of the confusion, one fact remains. At the time of the alleged hookup, Wanda was only 16, while Jay-Z was already a grown man. He was about at least 22. And with this kind of scandal going on in the industry right now, especially with Jay-Z's close circle, y'all know Beyonce wasn't about to risk that kind of drama falling back on their family. So from the sounds of it, once she found out, she made sure the door stayed closed, because that has the potential to blow the entire Carter empire to pieces. It's not just about the kid, it's about covering up a situation that could destroy everything they work for. And judging by how fast this case is heating up, they might be running out of time. According to Ramir, this whole situation goes all the way back to the 90s, when Jay-Z allegedly hooked up with his mother, Wanda. Now, from what Ramir's been saying, Wanda and Jay-Z did use protection, but clearly it failed. And that's how she ended up pregnant with Ramir. But here's where things get even more twisted. By the time Wanda gave birth to Ramir, she was already with another guy named Robert. And word is, Robert knew from jump that the baby wasn't his, but that didn't stop him from signing the birth certificate. And according to insiders, Wanda was still unconscious from the delivery when Robert went behind her back and put his name down as the father. And at first, people say Robert was trying to play hero because he felt bad for Wanda, but it didn't take long before the real reason came out. Apparently, he only did it to collect extra food stamps and benefits, and to make it even crazier, both Wanda and Robert were minors at the time, so technically, Robert wasn't even supposed to be signing legal documents like that in the first place. But Ramir also revealed that he's known about this since he was about 8 years old. According to him, that's when his mom, Wanda, sat him down and told him that Jay-Z was actually his biological father. And ever since then, it's been a roller coaster of trying to get the truth. And sadly, not long after that, Wanda passed away. But before she died, she left behind a sworn affidavit where she doubled down on her claims that Jay-Z was without question Ramir's real father. Now, you would think that with all this evidence, Jay-Z would have stepped up and handled the situation, and Beyonce, being the great mother that she is to her kids, would have encouraged him to take responsibility for Ramir. But no, it was crickets from them, and allegedly it was all Beyonce's doing. But Ramir wasn't about to let it go. After his mom passed, he decided to take the fight into his own hands with the help of a legal guardian, Lily Coley. Together, they kept pushing for the truth to come out. And in December 2014, they filed a civil lawsuit against Jay-Z, exposing some shocking details. According to them, they had been trying for years to get Jay-Z to take a DNA test. But every time they got a little bit close, He found a way to avoid it. Even worse, he accused them of lying to the court and presenting fraudulent documents, and then tried to block the case. Basically, they claimed Jay-Z and Beyonce manipulated the legal system to avoid paternity tests and keep this whole situation buried. Now, according to reports, Lily Colley and Ramir didn't just go after Jay-Z, they allegedly launched a legal battle against their own lawyers, accusing them of serious misconduct, because word in the street says that they believe the attorneys who were supposed to represent Ramir's best interest were secretly working against him. Allegedly, these lawyers were in contact with Jay-Z's legal team and colluded behind the scenes to sabotage Ramir's case before it even had a real shot. Lily claimed that their lawyers made moves that directly caused critical procedural issues, and they weren't small errors either, because these were the kind of mistakes that completely derailed the case. Because of those actions, the courts in Philadelphia ended up throwing the entire case out. And can we talk about how Jay-Z and Beyonce have thrown some not-so-subtle shade at Ramir over the years? One moment that had everybody talking was in their song Heard About Us, when Jay-Z dropped a few bars that many people believe were aimed at Ramir. He rapped, "Billie Jean in his prime, for the 1,000th time the kid ain't mine. On mine they call me dad, kidding me. You're not supposed to take this dad thing literally, chicka." Now for context, comparing himself to Billie Jean, a song famously about a woman falsely claiming a man fathered her child, isn't just a throwaway line. It's a clear denial package with a heavy dose of sarcasm. And he didn't stop there. He went on to say, "That's too famous. We don't even really do famous. I'm cool on that. Check the 2 fingers. Every day I'm getting sued. I show up to court without a suit. Yeah, every move is in the news, ain't it? It has its perks too, ain't it?" And Beyonce co-signing the track said a lot too. The fact that both of them leaned into the narrative publicly and added a whole new layer of shade, especially knowing how long Ramir had been trying to get a fair hearing in court. But clearly Ramir wasn't backing down, because nearly a decade later, he still is keeping the case alive. And the pressure on Jay-Z is stronger than ever, because now a judge has finally ruled in Ramir's favor. And now that judge is finally making a ruling in the case, Ramir is not holding back. In fact, he's getting real bold. He and his guardian, Lily Colley, recently sat down with reporter Liz Krogan and opened up in a major way about the years-long fight to get Jay-Z to take a DNA test. And what they revealed, well, it's got people shook. Ramir and Lily didn't sugarcoat anything and claimed that they've allegedly been receiving threats, not just from random people online, but directly from Beyonce's camp. According to them, folks close to Beyonce were allegedly trying to intimidate them into backing off the case, and they suspected it came from Beyonce herself.
The Beyonce thing came when a friend of mine who knew her, somebody in her camp, and she said something supposedly, this is all hearsay, about regarding saying Ramir needs to go away little boy, something to that effect. There was something out there.
But it didn't stop there. Lily also claimed that several insiders had come to her privately and revealed that Beyonce was the main one on Jay-Z's ear, allegedly pushing him to not take the DNA test.
But people were saying that she's a big part of the problems for him, and some of the things that she was doing, a woman would not, she would have some sort of role in what her husband does. And if she was secure with herself and with the situation, not saying you gotta like it, she would help her husband handle it.
But if that's true, it flips the entire story on its head, because up until now, most people thought that Jay-Z was the one stonewalling. But in Beyonce's the one pulling the strings behind the scenes, that changes everything. And with Ramir finally feeling heard by the legal system, it looks like he's ready to take this all the way to the finish line, no matter who tries to shut him up. So now the gloves are off, the DNA test is finally happening, and Jay-Z can't hide behind the silence no more. And Beyonce, well, she's officially out of time too. The secrets, the sabotage, the threats, they're all catching up. Because if this DNA test comes back positive, everything they built, the image, the empire, the perfect power couple facade, it could come crashing down. But here's the question. What happens if this test proves that Ramir was telling the truth all along? Will Beyonce walk away? Will Jay-Z finally step up? Or will they both keep trying to bury a scandal that's already halfway out in the grave? Well, whatever happens next, one thing's for sure, two things for certain. The story is far from over.